Good evening, my YouTube viewers. It's Crystal here. I wanted to make another video for you, and this video is going to be on Excel. It's going to be how to use VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, and XLOOKUP. So the VLOOKUP and the HLOOKUP are on the older versions of Excel, and VLOOKUP is the one that I'm most familiar with. But you have XLOOKUP, which is on the newer versions of Excel. So I've just recently become familiar with XLOOKUP because it is a new function or a new formula. So the first thing we're going to look up is VLOOKUP, and then I'm using like some data that I've anonymized, but it's very similar to data that I use in my day-to-day work. And so we have ID number, and the ID number I have is from 1 to 30, I believe. Let's see how many we have. 1 to 20. And then we have what team they're on, and then we have whether the training is complete. And then so for number 1, we type 1. Number 2, we type A2 plus 1, and then we copy and paste that down all the way to 21 to give you 20 ID numbers. And then the names are just anonymous names that I put in there. The team is the team that they belong on, and whether training is complete, I just put yes, no, yes, no, yes, no to say whether or not the training is complete. But also, what we have to do is we take that information, and that's for their training, but we also have to use that same the ID numbers and the names and the teams for the appraisals. And so what I did was just to spice things up again a bit. I started with the ID number as 21 and G2, and then in G3 I said G2 minus 1, and then I copied and pasted that all the way down to row 22 to give you 21 names. And then so we've got the name, and then so in order to get the name, we use VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP equals G2, and then comma, A2 to B22. So that's A2 to B22, and then the row number is 2, and false means that you want the exact spelling of the name. And then so we use our VLOOKUP, and then we're able to make the A column to be an absolute reference and the B column to be an absolute reference. And then it will put the names of the people in column 8. Excuse me, I went to my boyfriend's mother's house and I picked up her virus. And then the next thing we have is team. So we're going to look up the VLOOKUP to get the team. So that's going to be G2, which is your ID number, and then A2 to C22. So that's 3 columns of data. And then number 3 means it's the third column, and false means you want the exact spelling. And so you use that, and we use our absolute referencing for A2 to C22, and it tells you what team they are on. So, and then we do appraisal complete, and I just need no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. So that's basically how you use VLOOKUP, and I use VLOOKUP a lot. The little spreadsheet that I've made is very similar to the spreadsheet that I use at work. So I just wanted to show you what I use at work. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look up VLOOKUP with true. So the first thing that we have is we have our order quantity, and it goes down to row 21. So that means you got 20 rows of sales data. And then we have a lookup table here. So amount ordered, if it's 1, you get a 1% discount. If it's 10, you get a 2% discount. If it's 20, you get a 3% discount. If it's 30, you get a 4% discount. If it's 40, you get a 5% discount. And if it's 50, you get a 6% discount. So we come over here, we want to know what discount. Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to enter a random variable between 1 and 60. And so in A2, so equals ran between brackets 1, 60. And then we're going to copy that all the way down to A21. And that's just going to give us a random number between 1 and 60 to tell you the amount ordered. And then we're going to go to the lookup table and find out what the discount is going to be based upon what was ordered. So VLOOKUP brackets is going to be A2, that's your order quantity, and it's going to be E3 to F8, and then that's an absolute value, so you have to put dollar signs in between the E3 and the F8. And then 2 is going to be column 2, and then true means you're going to look for something similar. So something similar to that. So that's the difference between true and false. Is true, you're just looking for something similar, and false, you want exactly the same thing. And so we copy and paste this all the way down to B21, and then you find out what your discount is. So your discount for 2, it's going to be 1%. For 26, it's going to be 3%. For 22, it's 3%. For 41, it's 5%. For 33, it's 4%. And then you go all down the row, because when you set it to true, what it's looking for is something similar to the value that you counted. And so that's how we do it there, which is interesting. It's interesting how we did the true on VLOOKUP, because I normally use the false on VLOOKUP, but it's interesting to see another way to do it. Now we're going to look at HLOOKUP. So HLOOKUP is different from VLOOKUP, because VLOOKUP means vertical lookup, and HLOOKUP means horizontal lookup. So again, we've got our order quantity, and then it's going to be a random number between 1 and 60, and we copy that all the way down to row A21, and then we check our order priority, which is going to be low, medium, high, critical, or not specified. And then I just copied and paste that all the way down to 21. And now we want to do our priority star rating. So what we have to do is we have to create columns of, rows of data. So the row is low, medium, high, critical, or not specified. Excuse me. So for low, you get 1 star. For medium, you get 1 star. For high, you get 2 stars. For critical, you get 3 stars. And for not specified, you get 1 star. And then so that's your lookup table. So now we're going to come over here to the priority star rating with HLOOKUP. So equals HLOOKUP. It's going to be B2, which is your order priority. And it's going to be E2 to I3. And that's going to be an absolute reference. So you have your dollar signs in between E2 and A3. 2 means it's going to be the second row, and false means you're looking for the exact wording. So low priority, you get 1, and then you're going to copy this all the way down to C21. So low priority, you're going to get 1. Medium priority, you're going to get 1. High priority, you're going to get 2. Critical priority, you're going to get 3. And not specified, you're going to get 1. And then, excuse me. And then basically, so that's how you do your HLOOKUP. I will say that I normally use VLOOKUPs, but the HLOOKUP facility is there if you want to use HLOOKUP. Now we're going to use XLOOKUP, and XLOOKUP is a new formula in the newer versions of Excel. I don't have XLOOKUP at work, so I can't use XLOOKUP at work. I can only use XLOOKUP at home because I paid for Excel, and so I paid for the most current version of Excel. So these are just some examples that you can use on how to use XLOOKUP. So we've got your countries, and we've got 10 countries of China, India, US, Indonesia, Brazil, Pakistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh, Russia, and Mexico. And then we've got the abbreviations, so we put the abbreviations in there. And then we've got the prefix, which is the telephone prefix. So you can see the prefixes for the phones. So we have the question, what is the dial code? So you type in Mexico, and then you get the XLOOKUP brackets E2 A2 to A11. That's your country, and that's what you're going to be looking for. And C2 to C11 is your output, and false means that you want the exact spelling. So we're going to come over here. We'll just say United States. And so you see it has a dial code of 1 plus 1. So we'll look up here for Pakistan. So it's plus 92. So this XLOOKUP enables you to select one item, select the data from one item that you're looking for. Another way to do it is check out the employee ID details. And so we're going to be using the same data that we used for VLOOKUP, whereas we have an ID, a name, and the team. And then so you can get the details of that employee ID just by doing the XLOOKUP. And the thing about the difference between XLOOKUP and VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, XLOOKUP will enable you to look for several pieces of information, whereas VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP will only enable you to use one piece of information. So we come over here. So we've got 1, and then ID number 2 is A14 plus 1, and then you copy that all the way down to A34, which it's just going to be 21. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to type in 4, employee number 4, so it's going to be Kermit the Frog. So we use XLOOKUP brackets E14, comma, A14 to A34, that's your ID number, and B14 to C34, which is your output. And then if it doesn't find it, then what it will do is it will give you a message to say ID not found. So let's say 25. It says ID not found. But let's say 6. So we've got Darth Vader and he's on the black team. Let's say 7. Princess Leia and she's on the pink team. And then so basically you can input any ID number that you want. And then if the ID number isn't in that column of data, then it will just say ID number not found. Here's the last thing that you can do with XLOOKUP is you've got your tax rate, which I've manually entered in all these tax rates. You've got your income, which I've manually entered in the income. So now we're going to ask for what's the person's tax rate. And so we're going to enter 200,000. So with it's going to be XLOOKUP. It's going to be E37. It's going to be C37 to C42 is the income that we're going to be looking for. And it's going to be B37 to B42 is the output. And 0 tells you that if you don't find what you're looking for, it's going to output a 0. And then what it does is if it doesn't find what it's looking for, then it'll go to the next higher number. And then that's how it works. So with 200,000, we have 35%, but let's check 500,000. We have 37%. And then let's just check 700,000. It says 0. So what you have to do is you have to make sure that the highest number you want is in the income section, because if it's not in the incomes, if the highest number doesn't appear there, then you're going to get a 0, and you don't want that. And I did experiment with it, and I couldn't find an easy way around it. So the only thing that I can say is you need to make sure that the highest income in your list is going to be in the higher income there. So at the moment, the highest income is 600,000. So if you want anything like 6,001, it's going to give you a 0. So that's one of the things that you're going to have to be careful of when using XLOOKUP. And that's it for VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, and XLOOKUP. I've showed you everything I know in these 3 lookups, these 3 formulas. The one that I use the most is VLOOKUP. I don't use HLOOKUP very much, but I've showed it to you. And I don't use XLOOKUP at work because we have like an older version of Excel that doesn't have XLOOKUP. But I have actually showed you some examples on how to use XLOOKUP. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude this video because we've been talking almost 20 minutes. And if you like my video, please like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching my video. And I will be looking forward to making another video on a technical subject very soon.